Welcome back. All right, today I want to talk about, or the topic of this video is win and being you. The whole topic is surrounded around one word, and that is integrity. Now, I don't know what comes to mind when you hear the word integrity, but for me, it's always related about how you treat other people and how you show up for other people. And yes, that's true, that's a part of it. But today I want to talk about the integrity that relates to you and only you. I'm going to start off with two scriptures. This is going to be the foundation. Psalms 26:11, it says, "But as for me, I will walk in integrity." And Job 27 verse 5, "I will maintain my integrity until I die." So if the Bible has something about integrity, it is very important, and I think all of us should pay attention to it, right? So in today's video, I want to talk about what integrity means to me and how you can win at showing up for yourself, and just like the scriptures saying, maintaining your integrity until you die. I personally, for myself, and I know other people who have lived out of or outside of integrity, meaning they did not live authentically, and I have been guilty of that myself. For so long, I made other people's problems and what they wanted and how they wanted me to do something my problem. And I did not celebrate and honor the person that I am and who I am as an individual, what my personality is, which was given to me by God. My character is something that you can cultivate, you can improve on, but your personality is something that's God given. And why would you change that for someone else, right? To make other people happy. You compromise on your thoughts, your values, what makes you happy, what doesn't make you happy, all for one reason, is to appease somebody else. And ultimately, when you continue to do that, you sell yourself out. You sell yourself short. You're selling your soul. And at some point, if you don't catch a hold of this and you don't stop it, you will end up feeling fragmented. There are so many people I know. Now I stopped, okay? But there are so many people that I know, unfortunately, have lived a life outside of integrity. They didn't live authentically, and they have pretended to be somebody that they're not for most of their life. And to this day, they really don't know how to show up for themselves and be authentic. They just they mold and shape to whatever they think is required of them in the context of who they're dealing with at that particular time. And what happens is you end up having a split personality. You almost become, I don't use this word lightly, but you almost have a behavior as a person who is schizophrenic. And nobody really knows who you are. You know, if you ask you a question, do you like something, you just off the cuff give an answer because you think that's what everybody wants to hear, but it's not your truth. And the question I have is, how long will you continue to do that for other people? And you have to be miserable on the inside. Come on. If every day you're pretending to be somebody else for the sake of somebody else, and it's not you, you have to be miserable on the inside. And so many people have done this into their later years. Their children don't know who they are. The spouses don't know who they are. And even they don't know who they are. They don't know how to make definitive decisions for themselves because they're always looking at how can it impress somebody else depending on what I say. That's miserable, and that has to be a headache, and that has to be frustrating. I don't want you to do that. So let's talk about it. When you think about yourself, how do you view yourself? Are you a person who honors your own word to yourself? If you say you're going to do X, Y, and Z, you actually do X, Y, and Z? Or are you a person who you are consistently changing? You start something, you stop it. You start something, you stop it. I was good at that. And I am dedicated until keeping my word. I'm dedicated in making sure that I put steps in place to make sure that I'm on target that I'm doing the things that are necessary in order to keep me honest with myself. Because you got to think about this. If you can't be honest with yourself, why do you think, or why would you think God would be honest with you? And if you can't be honest with yourself and you can't keep your word to yourself, why would anybody else keep their word to you? Right? These are things that we have to think about. And I believe a lot of this stuff is established on a childhood level. It starts when we're young. And unfortunately, this thing morphs into something big. You see a lot of people, you see it on social media all the time. Someone pretending that they have wealth and they don't. Someone goes and get all this surgery because they want to impress people who don't even care about them. Someone that goes and sells a product that they didn't have any involvement in. They don't know how the product works, but they're lying and pretending to be something else because they're hoping they get a specific response from a certain group of people, and you just continue to sell yourself out. I just don't want to live like that. I think that I have something to offer. I have something to say, and just by the mere fact that God created me alone, to me tells me a lot. And how he created me, there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. And maybe, yes, your character can be polished. All of us, our character can be polished, okay? But your personality, if you're a person who likes that quiet time to yourself, honor that. And those small moments when you like to be outgoing and those types of things, then you honor that part of you too. It doesn't mean that you're an introvert. It just means that you just like being by yourself. You really relish in those quiet moments, okay? And if you're a person who is friendly and outgoing and you have this artistic vibe about you, honor that too, okay? But don't try to be something that you're not. At some point, there has to be a threshold point where that derails you and it throws you completely off course. Your children don't know who you are. You can't even decide what meal you want without somebody else's opinion. That's ridiculous, okay? And so for this year, I want you to think about a few things. I'm going to be reading, so I'm going to look down for a minute. The first thing that I want you to do is think about this. I want you to know that you are enough. It does not require you obtaining designer bags and all these materialistic possessions to know that you are enough. For the mere fact that you're here on earth and God brought you over to 2024 and he allowed you to be here and he created you specifically. I don't care if you're African American or if you're Caucasian, whatever race you are, and I know that the Bible says that we are created in God's image and likeness, but y'all, we are so different. None of us are the same, and that's what we are, members of one body, the body of Jesus Christ, the body of Christ, but we're different members, and that's what makes it beautiful. All of us have something to offer. So know that you are enough, and what you as an individual have to offer is enough, and you don't have to change yourself for anybody else. Now, I'm going to say this again. Your personality was given to you by God. However, all of us can benefit if we want to improve our character. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Number 2, I want you to stand unified by telling yourself the truth. This is important. In order to walk and live a life that's authentic and to live in integrity is to tell yourself the truth. You need to pull yourself out. If you know that you're unraveling at the seams, pull yourself out and sit yourself down and tell yourself the unadulterated truth. There should be nobody should be able to come to tell you something that it completely takes you off guard. So many times people don't want to take the time to just do some introspective work. You got to sit down and have a good old conversation with yourself, and whatever it is, you don't have to share it with anybody. You don't have to tell anybody, but you need to be able to tell yourself the truth. You need to be honest with yourself, and you need to be able to come to yourself and say, you know what, Prina, I need to change this. I need to do these things better. I need to stop doing this. You shouldn't always have to have somebody on the outside to check you. You should be able to check yourself, okay? When you make up your mind that you're gonna live authentically and you're gonna show up with integrity, be ready to piss some people off. Folks are not going to like that. And especially if you're one of these people that has been wavering back and forth throughout your life, they're not going to like that. And I think the biggest thing, or the most scariest thing for a lot of people who are struggling with this, is that they fear that if they show up as they truly are, will they be liked by the people they want to have the reception from? Will they be received by the people that they desire the most to have that confirmation from? And I get it, but I don't get it. But at the same time, you have to honor you first, okay? It's not about somebody else. If you're breaking yourself to live a life to appease other people, I mean, how are you winning? You're not winning, you're losing. I want to ask you a question, and when I say these 3 words, what comes to your mind? What do you think about your life when I give you these words? Genuine and real, are you? True and accurate, are you? True to one's own personality, conscience, or character, are you? Here's one thing that I know. When you dummy down to fit a mold that somebody else has created for you, that mold will always stink. It will always be too tight. You will never have your own ideas. And the truth of the matter is, if you're around people who always want you to be yes people, who always want you to agree with them, who always tell you what you're thinking and what you're doing is stupid, or they try to undermine you and pretend like it don't matter, they don't care about you anyway. You are just a pawn in their hands at this particular time. So give yourself enough grace this year. It's early. You know what the day is? I believe it's the 7th or the 8th. I don't know what the day is, but the 7th or the 8th. It's early in the new year. Check yourself in. Close yourself in your bedroom for a weekend or for a week or whatever time you have, and just sit down and do a good inventory over yourself and ask yourself, have I shown up true and authentic? Have I been honest with myself? And am I true to my own personality, my conscience, and my character? If your answers is no, you have a lot of work to do, but it can be done. Agree with me today that you're going to win at being you. There's a book that I want to recommend to you if you want assistance with this. She has a whole chapter about winning. I think it's called Winning with Integrity or Winning in Integrity. It is the book Unstoppable, and I'll put it on the screen, by Dr. Cindy Trim, and I will also link it in the description. Take a look at that book. It's some good information in there. It's a lot of things that I shared with you today. It helped me. I think it can help other people. Finally, I want to end with this. I just shared with you the title of Dr. Cindy Trim's book, but in that chapter, she has some winning actions in her book, and it says, these are actions to help us live authentically and with integrity. To determine, number 1 is to determine your core values, which are the principles and standards by which you operate. She continues by saying your core values can only empower you if you live them day in and day out. These are what she calls the non-negotiables. Then she says, determine the activities, thoughts, choices, and outcomes that align with your core values. Evaluate and repeat the process, okay? Don't spend another day being who somebody else wants you to be. And don't spend another day neglecting who you are. God made you, He called you for such a time as this, and your presence and your voice is needed. YouTube is going to recommend a video to you that they think you want to see. But till the next time, I will see you in the next video. Take care, everybody, and be blessed.